I'm Tara Royer-Steele, and welcome to the Jesus Pie and Coffee podcast, the place where we have real conversations over pie and coffee. Hey y'all, today we're talking to my friend Susie Davis. She is one of my favorite spiritual mamas, and she has so much wisdom to give and share about Jesus and grace and pie too. I hope y'all will take a listen.
Hey there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about your podcast.
Me too. You know what?
What?
You're my first guest ever. Isn't that like perfect? I mean, what better person to be on the first Jesus Pie and Coffee podcast than you?
I'm so excited. That's really fun.
I know, because, one of my favorite things about you is that you're a mentor. So I just totally look up to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I adore you.
Oh, you're sweet. Thanks. So what you been doing? Did you have your coffee?
I actually had coffee and then I went and got McDonald's coffee, which is a strange and ongoing obsession. I know. I don't know what it is. I think it's because my dad introduced me to it when I was in college.
Oh, so this has been going on for a while?
Oh, yeah. A long while. And I have bread in the oven.
Ooh.
Which is like a really big Monday thing for me. That's like very ambitious.
Okay, wait. I have to know, what coffee do you drink at McDonald's first?
It's the regular small cup of black coffee. I don't even have cream in it.
Wow, it's that good, huh?
I don't.
I guess
really
so. I'm going to try it.
I think, well, I'm glad, and I've got some converts. I mean, I just don't like Starbucks. I never have, and there is better coffee in the world, but it's just something about getting out of the house, going through the drive-thru. Reminds me of my dad, the whole thing. So
I love that. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so what bread do you have in? Your Amish bread or something different?
I do. It's my Amish bread, and it's because my dad has been begging for it. So it's all about my dad this morning, apparently. All about my dad.
That's okay. That's a good thing.
Yeah. You have a good type, ongoing, influenced relationship with your father, too.
Yeah, we're having a really good conversation and influence in life with my dad right now. So I know, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things that podcast is not about me. This podcast is about you, but what a blessing you were to me in my life through that relationship.
Wow. Well, your dad's one of my favorites.
And I think that's what I remember. Like the first time that we met was because you sent an email about a wedding, right?
Yep. Sarah's wedding.
Yes. And the last thing that you said on there was like, your dad's my favorite. And I at the time was like, And Dad, I mean that in the kindest way.
With he's a turquoise wearing, big old personality with a big old smile. And
yes.
Yeah, I love your dad.
He still is that. Yes. Well, so yeah, that was the first time we met, which of course ended up being over the same thing about pie.
I know it was about pie. Sarah's wedding, youngest, getting married, and I'm not a big cake girl. I'll just say that flat out. And I recognize, and maybe, I know you're a pie girl, so I feel safe talking to you, but people have told me that not everyone loves pie and that most people love cake. And it's not that I don't like cake. I do, but pie is home, you know?
Yes.
Pie's America.
It is. Well, I'll say this on the first podcast because it's safe, but I am a cake girl. But
No! Oh, my world is whirling down and crushing into tiny pieces. I don't understand that.
I mean, but I've been converted, so I do love pie, okay, because I love what pie has become in my life. But listen, that cake is how you define a wedding. I don't care about all the other stuff, and I'm real sorry, everybody that's getting married and it's your biggest day, but it's all about the cake.
Oh, no.
Okay, but I still love pie, I promise.
No, Tara, stop. I really feel like I'm melting into the floor.
really
for
sorry.
the pie family, for the daughter to say that cake's her favorite.
I just love cake, but I love. I don't go out and bake cakes, so I don't do that. Like but if I'm gonna bake something, I still bake pie. So does that help any? Does that save me a tiny bit?
Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
does. Well, you built your life around pie, so you know what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, I get it. Have you ever heard that quote? I wish I could attribute it because I hate quoting people and not attributing properly. But she said, "Cake is fancy ass, pie is home." Am I allowed to say that?
Oh, that's so great because I was gonna make sure that I didn't say anything bad because it was Susie Davis. So, yep.
I don't think fancy ass is a bad word,
No.
actually, but cake is fancy ass, but pie is home. I'm going to find it while we're talking
Fancy ass.
because
That's hilarious.
I know.
That's funny.
It was some you know lovely smart person who made a lot of stuff. It was a big baker or something like that. I'll find it while we're talking. Anyway, yeah, I hope I haven't. Do you do the little bleep? You could do the little bleep when
Yeah,
I
we
say
can
that
do
word.
that. I don't know. We haven't, this is just in the beginning stages, so we haven't decided if we have to put that E or something or whatever in the iTunes notes. I don't think we'll be that. But
Okay.
I don't know. People will be like, "Oh, Jesus pie and coffee," and there's an E. What does that mean?
Sorry. There, I
No,
did it. I did it.
that's awesome. Okay, so um, I really would love to just talk to you about, well, obviously all the things that you do, but really just first, I'd love to start off with just how your passion, for mentoring. I feel like that is your passion.
Yeah, I have a passion for Jesus, and
Well,
it
that,
spills out
yes.
in all different kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as I've gotten older, I've seen this way that God is using me as a mentor. And I'm using the word mentor because everybody knows like
Right.
kind of what that means, but I really think of myself as a spiritual mama. That's what I call myself. And actually, the reason I think of myself like that is because Emily and Sarah's friends, and Will's even, my kids' friends, started calling me Mama Suze way back when they were in high school. And I would be making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and sliding them across the counter. And instead of calling me Mrs. Davis, they started calling me Mama Suze. And so it was just something that stuck. And I didn't think of myself as a mentor then, but I mean, I was. And then as the years have gone by, as the decades have gone by, I just have seen, I guess I've stepped into that and accepted that as a piece of what I love doing. And I think it's a call in scripture to be that. Hopefully, when you get older, like if you have someone younger than you in your life, you can think of yourself as a mentor or a spiritual sister or a spiritual mama or whatever. So that's kind of how it happened. It was organic. I didn't go out and get certified. It's just,
Do they have that?
yeah,
Oh,
I
well, I
think
guess
there
they do
is
have
that.
certified mentors. But I mean, I love the whole soul mama, spiritual mama.
Yeah.
And you sent something at one time and you wrote that on the outside of the box. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's so great.
Right.
Because your book, Dear Daughters, I have to tell you that when you wrote that book about what you're talking about here, which I love for you to share about it, but I did not. I was like, oh, that book's not for me. I mean, because I read the title and I was like, oh, well, I'm not a daughter. But then, and it's just because my mind was stuck in the world. I was like, oh, I am a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just didn't see myself that way. And you helped flip that little switch there for me and speak truth.
Yeah.
So and I love that. And I love the book and what it does and
Thank you.
speaking to the generations.
Yeah, it's meant to be. I mean, honestly, the book started because I was having online conversations with, or mentoring women, younger women. But those are just conversations I had with them, and I ask a lot of questions. Really, I feel like more of a facilitator than. I mean, I do have a gift of teaching, but I think that people learn when they're able to, women especially, when they're able to verbalize. So if I ask questions and then people start thinking about things, they learn things about themselves, and God's Spirit starts revealing who He is in their life without me having to like have a Bible study with them. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. We have a Bible study on Wednesday, and we rarely ever get to the Bible study because we're just doing that. And I think that that's what this world needs more of. So yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, so the book really was those conversations, and I hope that people read it and they feel like, you know, I'm somewhat of a spiritual mama. But what I really want is for someone to have that in their own place, in their own space, in their own home, in their community, you know, and then that they'll, you know, reach out to an older woman and ask her to coffee. And if they don't know what to talk about, they can talk about what's in the book. It's meant to be a bridge building kind of book. So, I think everybody, Tara, deserves a spiritual mama. I think that's what God wants for them in their life. I don't think that we're supposed, and I'll just speak for women. I don't think anybody's supposed to walk alone, but I think women need women. And my girls, as much as I want to be really tight with them and know everything that's going on in their life, I want other women to be in their life. And I recognize that as young women now married, they don't tell me everything and shouldn't, you know, because if they're having issues in their marriage, it's hard to talk to their mother about it. But they can certainly talk to a spiritual mama in their life, you know?
Yes.
So that's kind of how I feel, that, you know, everybody deserves one. Everyone should have one. And I think the world would be a better place if they did.
And I like how I think, of course, we make things complicated. So you say just go ask someone to go have coffee.
Coffee and pie. That'd be the better thing.
But how would you, I mean, really just go up to someone at church and be like, oh, because there has to be that someone that you've.
Yeah, if you want a mentor, I think the best thing to do, well, the worst thing to do is walk up to an older woman and say, will you be my mentor? Because they're going to immediately feel completely. Well, no, I think they feel overwhelmed. Mm. And I think they feel do you hear the blip blips? I'm going to turn this off right now. I think my iMessage is catching. Anyway, what I think
I don't hear it.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, your person can edit that out, or we can leave it as
sitting
is.
Right here. I feel real fancy right here.
Yeah, fancy. Producer's right there. What's his name?
He's right here, and I'm like,
What's his name?
Oh, it's Matt.
Hey, Matt.
He's waving. He's like, awkward.
Yeah, great. Okay, so back to this. So basically what I think is when older women, sometimes when you say, will you mentor me, they feel completely intimidated because they know their life and it's not perfect, and they think they're supposed to be all that or have a degree in theology or psychology to offer wisdom. And the truth is, you get wisdom in two ways: by doing the right thing and getting the reward, or doing the wrong thing and suffering the consequence. And most of the girls, I think, appreciate the times when I'm able to say, you know what, I did it this way, and it was really horrible, and I suffered the consequences of making a poor decision and learning from my life mistakes. So that's why I don't think you say, will you be a mentor, just because I think older women are intimidated. But I think the best thing to do is walk up and ask, and it doesn't have to be in church. If there's a woman down the street that you know loves Jesus and she has like healthy teenagers or a pretty normal family, and you need some life advice on how to raise teenagers, I think just ask her to coffee and pie, and then just go ask her about her life. Instead of like talking about yourself the whole time, just say, gosh, your kids seem they love God and they seem pretty normal. And I have this 11-year-old and I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like everything's changing with her. And, you know, help me understand how you raised your daughters to love Jesus and not make poor decisions. And I think that's where it starts, you know, with a prayer and an invitation to coffee and pie. And then, you know, just see if there's a natural connection, like you would a friend,
Right.
is there a vibe there? And then ask them back again. And then finally, after a year or so, you keep asking them to coffee and they invite you over some. Suddenly you're in a quote mentor relationship with them.
Yes. Well, just show up. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So, what do you have? What are you doing that's new right now?
What's new?
What's
Soul
new?
Care Weekend is coming up, and I'm not sure when this will go. When you're starting,
Well,
when are
good
you
Lord
starting?
willing, it should be on the interwebs by like September 18th, but I'm not
Oh,
really in control of all that, so who knows?
yeah, that's Matt, right?
Or iTunes.
Or iTunes. Okay, that's true. I
But
forgot.
the hope is September 18th.
That's wonderful. Well, if you get it out that early and this one goes out, then yeah, this is great information. So I'm having Soul Care Weekend here at my home because I think that when people take even a little bit of time for themselves, they can reclaim the clarity in their life that they want and the rest their soul craves. So I'm just going to have a weekend where you can come to my home and you'll have delicious home cooked meals and we'll have soulful conversations. And I want to help you find, there'll be 4 sessions facilitated with questions and kind of like personalized little mentor sessions with me.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's one thing that's
When are you
happening.
doing that?
That's October 18th, 19th.
Man, I wonder what I'm doing on those days. I'm gonna
Please
go.
come.
That sounds
Please
dreamy.
come.
I mean, just go to your
Yeah.
house
Yeah. Just
and
come to
you
my
cook
house.
and just listen to
Yes.
you. Okay,
Yes.
sounds great.
And I ask you questions and
Oh,
we do
okay.
fun, creative things and stuff that's practical that helps you understand why you may feel like your life's kind of out of balance and where you need rest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll be doing these biannually. And
Sweet.
yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I love it. I just don't think people feel guilty when they take care of themselves. So
Yeah,
I'm all
but you
about
can't,
the
yeah,
resting and so you can go out and
be your best self.
that's right. I say
Let your
rest,
mind
restore,
be.
roar.
Yeah, rest, restore, roar. Exactly. I say I want you to love your one beautiful life. I mean, you get
Mm-hmm.
one life, right? And if you're stressed out and frustrated all the time, and you're not the best person that you can be for your people, something's going on, and that's something that's going on. There's something buried, and it has to do with you and God, really.
It does.
So I
And
just want to,
your
yeah,
people
forget
and
that.
how we just need to stay focused on our people, not anybody else, just who's in this
Yeah,
little
keeping
4 walls right here.
right, right. So and loving yourself, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that looks like. If that
Right.
means looking at, stuff that previously you've felt bad about and just you need to let go of that one, like leave it with God. Or if it's just, whatever it is, that's what Soul Care Weekend's about. And then I also have a book coming out next April. So
Woohoo.
that's fun too. I know. And you have a book coming out,
I
which is a
do.
huge celebration. I cannot wait to get it in my hands and hold it and touch
Thank
it.
you. Me too.
It's beautiful. The cover's beautiful. When is it coming out?
It comes out on March 3rd. Good Lord
Okay.
willing.
So in the spring. It's wonderful. That's a celebration. I feel like you've been talking about that or it's been like God's been
Yes,
prompting you on that one for a while.
it has. And until you're in it, you have no idea what it takes to birth one of those things. and
I know, right?
it's not just sit down and write a book. You're like, oh my
No.
goodness.
There's a lot involved.
There is a lot involved. And
There
there's
is a
these
lot.
people that ask you for stuff and there's deadlines. I'm like, I'm going to need you to give me an exact date because I'm a deadline girl. Otherwise, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's fun, right?
Oh, I mean, if someone said, would you do it again? I'd be like, heck yeah. If that's
Yeah.
what God says,
Yeah.
sign me up.
I like it.
So what is your next book?
The next book is called The Grace Guide. And like I said, that'll be out in April. Can't remember the exact date. But it's just about it, honestly, I think it's meant to be kind of a little soul care, the Soul Care Weekend. This is about soul care for you. It's like uncovering. It's, what it is here? It's about you loving yourself the way God loves you.
Right.
and walking in that. And when you walk in that, you're going to have joy and freedom and peace, and you're going to be able to live your one beautiful life. And so, like, that's my end goal for me and my people is like, hey, we get one life. Let's live our life, and get God's perspective on it, and let's live it. Let's go out and live it. And what does that look like to walk in grace, to walk in that? And you love this verse, I know. God's grace upon grace upon grace.
Mm-hmm.
If that's like, if you're standing on the beach and that wave of grace comes over you, like that first one, it just knocks you flat and refreshes you, and you get back up, you know what? It's going to hit you again and again and again. And I think that if we really were able to walk in that in a daily way, we'd have the joy that we're after. So that's my end goal for you, if you're listening, is just to have that grace and walk in that freedom when hard things come, to be able to walk in it, and when your life's doing well, to walk in it, but just to have that kind of love and grace for yourself that God already has for you.
I love all of that because it took me a long time to get to that point. So how did you, where were you before, what was it like before you got to that point, and what happened, or where was the transition where you got to that other side where you knew what it was like to feel that?
I think until you really get to a place where you get married and the honeymoon's over, or you have teenagers and suddenly you're not the most fabulous mother in the whole world. When you deeply know that.
Wait, it's teenagers? Oh, Lord. I was doing that now.
Well, I was just trying to, I'll say this, it doesn't, you're exactly right. The minute you're a mother, you start fumbling around, right, for the tools.
Yes.
And here's the deal. You do stuff and you mess up your kids. Like, as hard as you try to be a great mom, you mess your kids up. And, by the time you get to be my age, and my oldest is 31, you have a rich history of messing things up. Mm-hmm. And missing opportunities, and fumbling around, and that I think that the older you get, the more you've accumulated, and so the more I have to just lean back into God and just know that when He says I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. And then when I talk to my people about it, I wrote, when my son went to Baylor his freshman year, he's the oldest, I wrote him this. I just got convicted about something. I wrote him this big, long email about how I was, I wanted to apologize and ask forgiveness for all the times I was a fearful mom and kept him from, whatever, just basically apologizing for being human. Mm-hmm. And I cried when I wrote it and sent it off. I emailed it to him. And about an hour later, I got a phone call. And he's like,
"What are you talking about?"
Mom. He goes, "Mom, are you okay? Because we're okay." And we just died laughing. But I think, gratefully, he was okay. Right. And he is okay. But, you realize those things with people you love the best. Sometimes you act the worst. And so he has to have grace for me. And I have to have grace for myself for those times that I wasn't the best mother I could be, or I wasn't the best wife I could be. And like I said, the longer you live, the more you have. So, man, it's just a folding back into God and realizing that grace upon grace that He talks about is for me, and it's real and it's available. And I have to pick it up and put it on. Here's what really started the whole thing. You'll like this. My girls and I go to Round Top every year.
Yes.
Twice a year. And for my birthday a couple years ago, so I was 50. My middle daughter, Emily, brought flower crowns for us to wear.
I remember that.
And I was so delighted. I don't know if I'd ever worn a flower crown ever. But what little girl doesn't think about putting a daisy flower crown on her head? So anyway, she brought these flower crowns for me and Sarah and her. And she was like, "Let's wear them." And I was like, "How fun." But we were in our little, cottage away from all the shoppers. So anyway, they were like, "Let's wear them out." So we put them on and we wore them out. And suddenly it felt very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a
Someone's
50
staring
cents
at
a meal.
me.
I'm like, why is that lady wearing a flower crown?
I think it's Round Top's a pretty safe place, though. I mean,
It was
it
probably the
is.
safest place
I've
on
seen
earth
some
to do
crazy
that.
outfits. I'm just saying. But I get what you're saying. But I'm like, those flower crowns are pretty awesome
Tame.
there.
They're
That's
tame by
yeah,
comparison.
boring pretty much.
So anyway, but when I felt self-conscious, I felt awkward. And then every time I would feel like that, I would look over at my girls and I would be like, oh my gosh, like they're, you know what, we're all here and we're free and this is fun. It was just an unexpected gift that they gave me. And it really, honestly, the flower crown became like an emblem of grace for me. And so, we can have grace, but until we actually put it on and walk around in it and we feel that freedom, we don't experience the freedom.
I have
Because we're
another
dearly.
drawing in my head because of you. I'm going to draw
Oh,
another one.
fun, I love.
Okay, sorry.
Um, no, I was just going to say we're dearly loved daughters of God. And the way he sees us, the best way for us to see ourselves is the way he sees us through Jesus. And like if we can't like get a hold of that, we're missing something.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's probably one of the hardest things for most people, that they have no idea what it's like.
Yeah, and it makes me sad for me and whoever else when we're not walking in it, because I mean it's twofold. Like we get to enjoy it, but the other thing is when we're able to do that and live that kind of life, other people get to benefit from it too. And that's what I think. I think that's the best way to be a light. I don't think we need to go out and like make plans to witness to people. I think we just need to live inside God's grace and in a very real way, exercise it in our life in a mature, responsible way, just exercise his grace. And that's when people are like, wow, I want some of that.
Right. Yes, I love it. Well, and I think like two of the things you and I are really passionate about is gathering around the table. And I think that's just a great way to do that.
I know, right? Food makes it all good.
Yeah, I think like you probably cook fancier meals than I do, because I like rotisserie chicken sometimes and that bag salad.
No, I do that too. I'm all over it. Sometimes my latest trick is going to Central Market and getting it all prepared.
Yeah.
Like
okay, well, dear Brenham, get us a Central Market, please. Golly. But that's just it. We don't need to make it complicated. We make everything so complicated. Just open your front door.
Yep.
And have some chairs around the table.
Yeah.
And even in chairs that break. Some people will get that joke, some will not. And just have food, even if it is bag salad and rotisserie chicken.
So did you grow up eating around the table? Is that where you're passing? Okay. Yeah.
I can see the table. My parents still have that same table. I'm pretty sure I don't think my dad built that one, or maybe he helped his dad, or I don't know. But it's an older table, and it's been around for a really long time. And the chairs, it's crazy. Some of those chairs have come from restaurants my dad worked in Houston, and then the restaurant we had in College Station. So the chairs have come from other restaurants. But I just always remember my dad cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it was simple, and it might have been his favorite thing to cook is just, and I don't love the word just, because I'm like, it's a great meal, but grilled chicken and roasted vegetables. And then he would normally, those, I think they're bird's eyes, steamed pasta, some things. He would throw those in the microwave. So yeah, but we always had people at our house. We had Monday night dinners, family night dinners, and it was always on Monday nights.
Yeah.
And there were always different people there, always. And it's like that at our house still, and I'm pretty sure it's like that at your house.
It is. It's different now because our people are away,
right.
But like I'm in a season of inviting people. We have people over Friday. We're having some people over Wednesday, and it doesn't need to be fancy. I think I'll tell you what, if you're sitting there feeling intimidated, I think Tara's trick on getting the rotisserie chicken is the greatest. And the only other thing you need to do is like throw a little Windex on the wherever the bathroom that your guests go, the bathroom window, mirror, everything looks shiny then. Like you're set, go get your prepared foods. Don't worry about it. Everybody likes home style. My people always, there's just food on the counter and they help themselves. I don't even pull out serving dishes and stuff like that much
we use
anymore.
paper plates now, people. It's okay.
Yeah, it really is. It's not the food. The food is helpful. It's fun, and it breaks down barriers. But it's not the food. It's the conversation.
Right. That's right.
So
the food gets them in the door.
Yeah. So what do you? Are there some questions you ask at the table every time people come over, like kind of standard Tara questions?
Wait, why are you asking me these questions? I was like, no, I really am the one. I just want to create a safe place, and I don't want to say we have like this crazy Mod Podge, a hot motley crew of people that are always over, and I'm like, if someone said, "Oh, what kind of who do you hang out with?" I was like, the most broken people. That's my love language, sitting with those people. And so it really just starts evolving, and usually there's been a conversation usually beforehand, so I know what they're walking through.
Yes.
So it's more of just creating that safe place where they know they can come and sit, and there's no judging. There's just love and grace and, okay, great, you screwed up, big, learn from it, move on. And, what did God teach you through that? That's one thing. And usually they're like, I don't like that question, but what's God teaching you right now? Or what do you want? What does God want you to learn through this? And I think a lot of them mostly don't have a clue what it is to truly be loved. Like they're just so many. And another question I ask people a lot, though, see, I just needed you to help guide me a little bit. I'm not the one that can that's not me. I'm a processor. So if someone is asking me a question on the spot, I'm like, can I tell you in 3 days? But I do love recognizing like just what they're believing, is that really true about you?
Right.
Or are you believing other things about yourself? And so many times people are believing things about themselves and they're not even true. So that's where the grace and truly knowing what it means to be loved by God.
Right. I love that. You really did have questions then.
I do. It just took me a while to verbalize them.
I just threw it.
I was like, wait, are we on your podcast? Wait, I thought I already did this. Oh my goodness. Well, I love all of that. I'm pretty sure we could probably sit here for 3 hours and keep talking. But I really, you had talked about, or you had mentioned earlier when I sent those cool questions over,
sure.
But how you said that, which is something that I've just been really wanting to learn more about, but just walking in wisdom through transition, you talk about, and holding, and what it means to walk through grief with joy. Yeah. And so can you touch on all that?
Yeah, that's so interesting, because just this morning I posted something on Instagram about holding grief and joy together. When Sarah got married, after that wedding that y'all catered, after we had pie at that wedding, she was the youngest to get, our youngest and the last to get married. And I had gone through several transitions, as a woman. Basically, when my kids started going off to high school, that was a huge transition. And then when they went to college, huge transition. But then when they started getting married, it was even more of a bump, because before that, they were still in our care, even though they were somewhat independent. So when Sarah got married, after she got married, in that wedding, oh my gosh, Tara. Remember it rained that day, and then the sun came out and it was cool and it was gorgeous. It was like a crazy weather day. It was so dramatic, and it was so God. Outdoor, the whole thing. Anyway, it was such a celebration. When David and Sarah left, people still wanted to dance. It was so fun. But so we went back that night and sat and ate more pie, and then woke up in the morning, ate more pie with family, and talked with. Yeah.
Note to self: don't take so much pie. Okay, go ahead.
No, it was good. But we, as a family, we just, talked about it. And then when all the kids went back to their places, I don't know, it was a couple months, I just felt my heart clunk, clunk. It was like, what's wrong with me? I'm just sad. And so that's when I started meeting with the spiritual director. And the first time we met, she was like, you're grieving. And I was like, what? I can't be grieving because I should be grateful. And I feel so much joy I've prayed for my people to find their people, and they found them and they got married and we had this big party and it was so great. And she was like, yeah, but you're grieving the loss of being a mother. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I kind of went through this season, I would say it was 6 months of just monthly meeting with my spiritual director and just talking about the things that I was grieving. And I think she was so great because she gave voice to my grief, or allowed me to have, voice to it. And then when I would kind of try to chastise myself into feeling grateful, she would be like, no, you can just feel sad, and I was like, oh no. But inside that is where I realized you can hold grief and have joy at the same time. Because joy is not, this is what I wrote on my Instagram feed today. Joy is not something I create. It's not something I can fake. And it's not something I sustain. It's something that God gives me. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And so when I don't have joy, I can ask God for joy and He can give it to me. And He can give it to me side by side with my grief. And so for me, that transition season, I think, just helped me understand that you can feel deeply sad over losing something that you love, like motherhood.
Yes.
And then you can still have joy inside of that, just right next to it. And it's kind of weird because you can feel tearful and sad about something, but you can also have great joy knowing that God has answered your prayers and that you have these beautiful new people in your family or whatever it is. There's joy that lives right next door to grief, and you can have both of them together.
I love that. You gave me another visual. I'm just going to do a book with Susie, and she's going to say things, and then I'm just going to illustrate them. Okay.
I want to see him. That's awesome.
I will. I sent you the one, one of them I did because
the quilt.
It made it. But okay. Can you just give me 2 seconds on what is a spiritual director exactly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a spiritual director is what they say is like a co-listener or something like that. Not a therapist.
Got it.
Not someone that you go and talk about. Like if you're depressed, you need to go see a therapist. But a spiritual director is there to help you hear God in your life, period. And it's what I hope a spiritual mama is.
Right.
Someone that they don't have to have all the answers. Mm-hmm. They listen with you and try to uncover where God is in your life, where you are with Him, and the picture of what's going on. So when I meet with my spiritual director, how it works for us is I come in with the things that are ruffling me. And we just talk about it. And she's been so helpful in a way that maybe a friend couldn't be or a husband couldn't be, because her whole end goal for me is listening with me where God's Spirit is speaking to me already. Really, really helpful. But like I said, it's what I would hope a spiritual mama would be, somebody whose whole end goal is your spiritual growth and development. And where are you with God in your story? Helping you uncover where you are with God in your story.
I just love all of it. I love it. It's great. I love it. I want a spiritual director.
Yeah, you can find one. So I found mine. I just Googled.
I was going to ask you, so how do you find one?
Yeah, I Googled spiritual direction, and there's some big, I can't remember what it is. I think it's International Spiritual Direction. I don't know. There's some directory out there. And inside that directory, I'm serious, this is literally a founder. They'll give descriptions of, themselves and kind of their angle, and you can see if they're believers or not and stuff like that, and make sure it's consistent with, kind of your...
Yeah, it lines up with your...
exactly your theology. And so that's how I found mine. And she actually was kind of close to my house. And I met her for the first time. I had no idea what I was doing. Listen, I grew up Baptist, so this was strange language to me. But I went in there and I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to work. So we've been meeting for, almost 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
We need those people. Okay. I just want to say one more thing about grief, because one thing that I always got stuck on is like grief has to mean is when someone dies,
Right.
And it's not about that.
No, it's not at all. I mean, that's a really deep grief.
Yes.
But yeah, you can grieve, a change in your marriage. You can grieve a change in your mothering. You can grieve someone that was a friend that for some reason, and I think honestly, Tara, when we don't grieve, I think, look, Jesus said there's going to be suffering. And so this whole thing of avoiding it or acting like it doesn't impact us is weird and unhealthy. So it's just like finding, for me, like even yesterday, I just was grieving some hard things. Like I gardened all day and cried half of it. And today I woke up thinking about it, and you can grieve, but it's also like finding space to grieve and then finding the joy next door to it, so this morning I woke up and I was like, okay, look, Suze, you grieved all day yesterday. You did a great job and the garden looks great. Now it's time to go get some McDonald's coffee and ask God for joy and, let God give you the strength that you need to be joyful in this life that you're walking.
That's so great. Thank you. I love it. Okay. So I just am going to ask you, a couple more questions.
Sure.
I know you're going to send me that Amish bread recipe, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Because I'm sure everyone will like it.
Okay.
Because I'm going to want to make it. Because somehow we keep trying to cut carbs, but it's really not working in our family.
Oh, no. You know what?
I'm just getting
Listen,
over all
can
that
I
stuff.
give you a book that I read?
Please.
That has been so helpful to me, and I rediscovered it and I'm rereading it. I can't remember her name, and I feel so bad.
It's okay.
Oh, it's right here. I think I can reach it. It's called The Way Down Workshop. Have you ever heard of it?
Wait, say that again?
Okay, I'm trying to reach the book.
Okay.
It's called The Way Down. Gwen Shamblin is her name.
Gwen Shamblin, okay.
Yeah, and she wrote a book in, I feel like the 80s.
The Way Down? But I'm sure it's spelled differently.
It's W-E-I-G-H.
Matt's shaking his head like he knows what the heck it is.
The Way.
Oh.
See?
His mom did it.
Did your mom lose some weight, Matt?
Did she lose weight?
Yes.
Yes.
Significant? Oh, that's
I don't know.
Don't answer it. That was.
I was
really
like, wait,
bad.
that could have. I was like, if she listens to this, she's gonna be like. Okay, we're gonna maybe edit that from the podcast or not because, well, it's truth, right?
You know what the point of it is? Here's the deal. Gwen Shamblin wrote this book in the late 80s or early 90s. I can't remember. And I did it then. And her whole thing, and this is like, she's a teacher. So she's a nutritionist and she's like a spiritual teacher. I don't even know if she's still alive. I don't even know. But anyway, hi, Gwen, if you are, we love you. It's a book, and her whole thing is God set up our bodies to understand when we need to stop eating.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is her whole deal. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full.
That's actually something we've been working on this summer. Eating
so
until we're satisfied.
Have bread. You can have bread and butter. You can have cream in your coffee, but
you can
not
have ice cream.
You can have ice cream, but you eat when you're hungry. You stop when you're full, and she does all, like, the whole thing has all kinds of ways to, know how to do that. Know how to listen to your body again, which is, when you read the book, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. I should know this.
Right.
But we have all these rules,
yep.
No bread, no butter, no protein, all protein. Like, we're wacky.
A long time ago, don't leave any food on your plate.
Don't leave food on your plate.
Now I'm like, kids, are you full? Yes, yeah, you can throw it away. And Rick looks at me like, well, I'll eat. I was like, no, you can't do that. That's the problem.
Yeah, and there's actually something. So my grandson, who's 10 months old, Amy has him doing like where he's feeding himself. You know, a million years ago, it used to be like you would spoon feed. And
Right.
like now I don't know what it's called, but basically Caleb, she puts little sliced up banana stuff. He feeds himself. Like it's
At 10 months old?
Yeah. I mean, he's still nursing, but it's like it teaches basically this whole idea of, you know, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. Cause like when he's done, and he kind of cries and lifts his hands up. And, you know, anyway, the point of this is Gwen Shamlin wrote a book called The Way Down Diet, and you can have bread.
Awesome. So send me the Amish recipe so I can have bread. Because there's this other recipe that I'm going to find and I'm going to share with everyone. I'm determined to make it today. Tracy Morgan makes this crazy bread that has got Chex Mix in it and has a little Hennessy. So I was thinking maybe I'll just put vanilla, but maybe I'll go buy Hennessy. I don't know. And then it has Reese's Pieces in it, but you just let it sit and you pour chocolate over it and you cut it and it's like biscotti. So one day when I make that, I'll have to share that with everybody.
Yes, and we can all have a bite.
We can all have a bite.
Hungry.
Exactly, when we're hungry. Okay, so I'm going to have to go find that book. And the other thing, well, speaking of books, that's what I was just wondering. You said you're reading the book Save Something. Save Me the Plums.
Save Me the Plums.
What is that?
There was a woman who Ruth Reichel, I think is her name, but it's called a gourmet memoir, and she basically was the editor of Gourmet magazine for years and years. But she has written this beautiful book. She's just a really great writer, so I'm enjoying it very much. It's called Save Me the Plums.
I love it. And everything has to do with food, right? Because it's all about gathering the people. There's a common theme here.
I
know. Gathering people and food. See, I think that's why it's so great that we hung out together today first on my podcast.
Well, I'm proud of you for doing this. I think this is huge. And you know what? It cheers to you and Matt getting it going, doing the thing. It takes a lot of courage to just jump out and do something, you know?
Well, we definitely didn't wait till it was perfect because, well, we would never have started.
No one wants that. Yeah, no one wants that.
I at least made the room where we could walk in the room because, well, this would be the third place we were like, this place will work. So Matt's desk might be the guest bed. Whatever to make it work. Okay, well, I love you. Oh, wait, I have one more thing before you leave. Can you tell everyone where to go find all the things about you? Like, how can they sign up for Soul Care Weekend and your book?
Yeah, nice. Okay. The best place is susiedavis.org. It's SUSIE Davis.org. Don't go to .com because she's a music instructor who plays the harmonica. No. What's that thing? The squeeze box? What's that thing called? What? Not harmonica. You know, what's that thing called? That musical instrument you wear.
Accordion?
It's like accordion.
Matt is a musician, so he told me he does this I thought you said juice box, and I was like, no. She plays the juice box.
That's what it's called, Matt, right? No.
Oh my goodness.
Well, anyway, it's an accordion.
Okay. Well, they would be like, that's not her, I don't think.
Anyway, yeah, .com. I'm saying that because one time I went to a speaking event and they had pulled information from, and right before I got up, they said something about, and she sings and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, uh-oh, wrong Susie.
Oh my goodness.
SusieDavis.org. You can find Soul Care Weekend under gatherings. You can find out about my books. I'm on Instagram and the regular places where people
everyone go find her on Instagram. She's very, she's a great spiritual mama.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you, Tara.
Okay, well, I love you. Thanks for coming on today.
I love you too. Thank y'all both so much. Thanks, Matt.
He says, you're welcome.
I'm excited, and I'm cheering you on and praying you up.
Thanks, friend. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.